Turn me up, Rose.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of the Wisdom Walkers podcast, where I'm your host, Javante Blackman. I'm just reminding everybody that this is a promo hub for my new book, Walking with Wisdom. And in the building today, I have probably one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. Miss Markeshia Hines is in the building. How are you today?
I am absolutely amazing. Oh, thank you.
You are more than welcome. So let me give you guys a little backstory about our guest. I met Markeshia back in Tallahassee a few years ago. And the book that I wrote prior to Walking with Wisdom is called Dear Baby Girl. And I had a vision about promo videos coming to life with that book, and Markeshia took that vision and made it phenomenal. And it was one of the things that I, even to this day, I'm super proud of. And from there, we just built rapport through ministry and through all the great things that God has done in our lives. And so I am happy to have her on the show today. She is a new mom, so shout out to the new little one. And I'm loving everything that she just is embodying in this season. So many blessings, so many major doors are opening, and I'm excited for it. So you ready to do this, Markeshia?
I am ready to do this.
Sounds like a plan to me. So I have an icebreaker question for you. And I ask my guests all icebreaker questions to break the ice and make everybody comfortable. Make it a little lighthearted.
All right.
Give me the greatest movie of all time, in your opinion.
Oh, that's a good one. Let me see. The greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time.
Oh, man. There's so many. And I'm a movie buff.
I know. So I already know that this is going to be one of those top alls kind of question.
Oh, man. Okay. I will have to say, dang it. Okay, to choose one.
Just one. All you get is one choice.
I'm going to say, because this keep popping into my head, The Color Purple.
I felt like that was going to be your answer. It's a classic, though. Good choice. For sure. Good choice. It's a classic. You can't beat it. Okay. I can't choose, personally. I do not know. And I love movies. Love them. I will say this, though. Right now, on the top of my head is American Gangster.
American Dancer.
Yes.
And you know what's funny? I have not seen that movie.
Really?
I have not seen it.
I'm a Denzel fan. I'm a huge Denzel fan. In my opinion, he's like on the Mount Rushmores when it comes to actors.
It is.
And that movie was like his best work in terms of like full body. He was able to be all of his different, I guess, personality traits were combined into that character. And he was a leader. He was a businessman. He was a husband. He was a father. He was a brother. He was, all of the different things that embodied Denzel were a part of that character. And then the way that he played that character, it made you believe that he actually lived it.
He always does that.
Right.
Phenomenal actor.
Right. But the storyline allowed him to really do that. And I think that for me, that's what makes it, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
I'm gonna check it out.
Okay, most definitely. So I got a couple of questions for you, Markeshia, on our episode today. And the first question is the same question I ask every one of the guests that come onto my show. What does wisdom mean to you, and who is the first person that comes to mind when you think of wisdom?
Wisdom. To me, wisdom is knowing through experience or knowing because there's a gift of wisdom, like divine wisdom. It's knowing something that could happen based on circumstances or situation, or knowing the right direction to take, whether it's from experience or just the knowledge of it itself. And here's the new mom part.
It is not a problem at all.
Not this. And then
So
wisdom is also knowing not to have a bottle for your newborn to try to put in the room and take it during the interview. Wisdom.
That is wisdom. You know, I love the fact that you understand both sides, right? That there is the knowledge and the practical side, but there's also the divine side. And one of the things, pretty much the premise of this book, is us tapping into the divine side of wisdom. Because I believe that wisdom is not just a principle, but it has a personality trait. It's personified like the Bible does. And I read that a long time ago as a teenager. And it's just something that has always stuck with me. And now that I've, had life happen and things have happened in my life, I was able to get a new revelation on what wisdom is, and tapping into just understanding what the divine side actually brings is what this book is all about. And so who would you say is the first person who comes to mind when you think of wisdom?
The first person that comes to mind is my mother.
Okay.
That woman got some wisdom, you hear me?
She does. She definitely does.
And I know you said the first person, but the way my brain works is kind of like in scenes. I see stuff like...
I get it.
So my mother, my pastor and first lady.
I love it.
Whiz to the dumb.
Yes. Yes.
So much that I don't even want them to have it at times.
Listen, it is always a blessing. So shout out to Pastor Quincy and First Lady Michelle. I'm still tapped into the FWPC, the greatest church that I've ever attended, Family Worship and Praise Center. And you're absolutely right. Our leaders definitely embody that principle from top to bottom, inside and out. And I truly believe that that is a principle that they live by. And it is one of the things, along with just their obedience to God, that makes them great servant leaders. I enjoy being a part of the congregation and just seeing the ministry grow and become because of the wisdom that they are able to walk with. So shout out to them.
I can second that, because when I first started going to the church, I started going, I was a little youngin'. But when I came back, you know what I'm saying, when I became saved. So I remember when I was just looking at experiencing the atmosphere and just enjoying service, but I saw the way things were ran and how it was in order and the wisdom of different decisions that prompted me to actually want to join an auxiliary. And then from there, it kept growing and growing. And I got to see the inside of that wisdom. And I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it.
This is what it looked like. This is the place for me. This is exactly. And that is exactly those were my exact same sentiments when I joined the church back in 2016. Sophomore in college, and just one service was really all it took. All it took was that one service. One service. Okay, next question for us. As an actress, acting coach, and now professor at the greatest university to ever be created, the Florida A&M University, you have the skill and talent to become or embody the characters that you play. What are some gems of wisdom that have helped you in your career and endeavors?
It kind of covers just a little bit. What are some
gems of wisdom that have helped you become or help you in your career or endeavors?
Ooh, two come to mind.
Okay.
And the first one is, someone told me this right before I moved to Los Angeles. And it was, know who you are. Know who you are, or they're going to tell you who you are.
I like that.
With that, going to LA from Florida, it was, this is not Florida anymore. It's not Tallahassee anymore. It's the big league. So if you don't know Markeshia, or you're going to find out a part of Markeshia that's not even you, that they're going to tell you that you are. So knowing who I am, and that's been a catalyst in reference to different decisions I've made as far as choosing movies and what I audition for or want to be a part of. And then the second one is to live. It sounds so simple, but a lot of us day to day, we have so many goals and dreams that we're supposed to, but we're so focused on the next step that we don't live in the current moment. And the more I live as an artist, I can experience. And when I experience, I can recreate life experiences as a character, or I can observe other people living, and I can create based on a what if scenario. But living, so I can then have creativity. Because for me, creativity is life. But if I'm not living life, I can't be creative.
Oh, you just dropped a lot on me. Like I'm gonna take note of that because that is good. Let's start with knowing who you are. Like that gym alone just stands out to me, especially in this season of my life, because I went through, a very, very pivoting experience. Losing my mom probably just was the thing that just changed the trajectory of my life. And I lost her at 24. And so I tell people this all the time. By 25, I told myself a long time ago that at 25, I would be a man. I felt like at 25, I would be solidified as a grown man. I'm completely out on my own. I could start a family if I would like. All of the things that came with being a grown man, I thought that once I hit 25, my identity in that was stamped. And I felt like God gave me an experience to say, "Oh, you think you know who you are? Bet. Let me show you a little more."
Yeah.
And literally 2 weeks before my 25th birthday, I lost my mom. And I wrestled for a long time. Like, God, you knew, or you know how I felt about 25. 25 was that year for me. Yeah. It was it was like the foundation is set. Let's build on the foundation.
Right.
And God was like, if you only knew the plans I had for you, you would be okay. And so I had to realize that 25 wasn't it. I needed more time to be stamped and solidified and knowing who I am. Yeah. Because at 25, I was trying to define myself on things that were fleeting. Image, money, status, all of the things, right? As opposed to being built and solidified and established on good moral and solid principles of God. Integrity, honesty, trustworthiness. All the things that I already knew that I possessed, but I wasn't basing my identity on that. I didn't know. I wasn't basing who I am on that. And I think that a lot of times before we can live, as this is another gem I can't wait to tap into, we have to be established and stamped in who we are, because there's so many different billboards screaming at us to say, hey, you need to be this. You need to be a six-figure guy. You need to be in tech. You need to be in corporate America. You need to have this job, or you need to be married. You need to be a husband, or you don't need to be married. You need to be a polygamist. You need to be out here doing what you want to do and all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, hold on. Let me get solidified into my identity. And, we love our church. And so most recently we had Vacation Bible School a couple weeks ago. And the entire theme of Vacation Bible School was building your foundations.
Yes.
Solidifying your foundation. And I just think that this year has been God really showing me why a good foundation is important. So trust me, I'm definitely taking notes of those two gems, because I think that is so important. I know it's important. It
really is. Imagine this. Imagine every dream that you have coming true. Mm-hmm. And let's just say you wanted the status, you wanted the money, you wanted the cars, the clothes, the house, the women, whatever you wanted. Mm-hmm. Your dreams are true. But who you are is nowhere near who you're supposed to be. So at this point of having every dream come true, you don't have the wisdom to handle it.
Yes.
You're not going to keep everything that you have dreamed of, because you don't have the capacity to fulfill
Yes.
the purpose, and which is the reason you have these things.
Yes.
So it's like, Lord, this was a hard prayer that I had to even think about praying.
Yes.
I don't like to wait, but I will wait if I'm the right person who you are called me to be before you give me what you're supposed to give me.
Yes.
Because the last thing I want to do is have something and it's public and then it's taken away because I'm not who I didn't want to go through the work or the process to become the woman I needed to be to handle the blessing.
Yes, yes. And I think that is so needed. But a lot of times we don't want to do it because life isn't always pretty.
Correct.
And some of the things that we have to go through may not be the most beautifully painted picture or the most beautiful painted picture. And one of the reasons that I wrote this book is because when we go through life and it's not as pretty as we think it should be, we need to allow wisdom to come in to guide us towards becoming that person that God wants us to be.
Yes.
I think building a relationship with wisdom is probably one of the most important steps. It shouldn't be the first step, but it should definitely be an important step in getting towards the destiny that God has for you. Because like you said, if you get there, but you don't have the wisdom to sustain it, you're not solidified in who God created you to be to sustain it, you're gonna lose it.
Correct.
You're gonna lose it. And that has just been a prayer that I too prayed. God, build me to be sustainable for wherever you're taking me. I just want to last. I want to be built to last.
Listen.
I want to be built to last. That is the goal.
That part.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Okay, let's go to the next question. I am sure there are some roles that require you to be emotionally invested, whether that's crying, feeling some type of anger or frustration. From my research, I know that many thespians pull on past experiences to make those things happen, especially when you're in those moments, right?
Yeah.
How do you act in those roles without being consumed in your past traumas?
So with that, it requires technique. Okay. And a lot of people think that acting is getting the script, memorizing the lines, and then getting on camera. Right. That is the last thing that we do. So there is this famous acting coach named Sanford Meisner, and he has this technique called the Meisner technique. So one of those things, there are a couple of different options that I like to tap into, and one of those is the what if scenario. So what if this happened to me? What would I do if I was this person? But the key to it, in addition to that, and the emotional intelligence, that's what we call it, knowing how to go into a character, using part of myself or using my entire body for this character, but being able to tap out the same way you tap in. So it's technique. Some people do this to get out of character. Some people do breathing exercises, but you always have to have that thing you go to in reference to getting out of that state emotionally. So we say, what's the button for getting into a character? I can get into a character because I created a certain dialect for that character. So I can say something random in that dialect and start molding into that character because that's the thing that gets me there. Or a certain walk or a certain way that they move or say a sentence. It's the same thing for me. What do I do for me to get back to Markeshia? With that, it's still a part of going back to knowing who you are.
Yes.
I don't know who I am. Who am I going to go back to?
Right. Come on. Come on. You preaching now. I wholeheartedly agree. I've been going to therapy a lot more recently, especially, just losing my mom. And thank you. Honestly, it's the best decision I've made in a very, very long time. And so one of the things my therapist talks to me about is triggers and how you can have a season or an experience that reminds you of a past trauma, but you don't have to be consumed by that. You can feel an emotion, but you don't have to be consumed by that emotion. And I'm learning that I am becoming a lot more emotionally intelligent. I possess the ability to control my emotions and understand what I feel. And I think that is important because a lot of times we feel some type of frustration or some type of anger and we automatically assume that, oh, I'm mad. No, I may not be mad. I just may be frustrated. I may be fatigued. And it's okay. And it's okay. But being able to tap out of those emotions and control them is a skill that I think that we need. And the biggest gem that has just blessed my life from, whether it was losing my mom or having to take a leave of absence from the medical school program that I was into and having to restart those dreams and all that kind of stuff, is that when life happens to you and you are ready to move on, you're ready to tap out of what has been consuming you, whether that's a feeling of grief or anxiety or depression or whatever, allow wisdom to show you how to do that.
Yes.
Allow wisdom to show you how to do that. That is so many chapters in this book talks about wisdom's ability and desire to walk us out of the darkest seasons of our lives, whether that's through helping us gain understanding, showing us how to attain peace, showing us how to exercise faith, showing us how to use discernment and what that looks like. There are so many gems of wisdom that God downloaded into me, and he just put it in the book.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what I appreciate. But that's exactly what I did. I think that is the most important thing for us at this point, especially when we're ready to no longer be consumed by what we feel. It's okay to feel, but it's not okay to be consumed by it. And that's the biggest thing that I learned. So let's go to the final question that I have on the docket for you. You are one of the most discerning women I know. I can truly say that with confidence. What exactly is discernment to you, and how exactly do you use it?
Discernment to me, in one word, is obedience. And obedience to Christ. I have the gift of discernment. But I didn't know that until I increased my desire, or should I say, I started communicating more and connecting with God, knowing and being obedient to His word. So with that, He said He will give us the desires of our heart. He also put His ways in our ways, and
Absolutely.
we will become a new creature. And part of that newness, being obedient to Him and becoming new, is He will reveal things to us that we didn't know, or that we quote unquote shouldn't know.
Right.
So whether it's a warning or whether it's something that's great is coming, even discernment to know that even though I may be in a storm, it's going to be okay in the end. So getting peace with that discernment. So discernment is obedience in Christ, and also knowing the unknown. Knowing that I'm a child of God, so things will be revealed to me.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love that. In the book, there is a chapter dedicated to discernment. And I echo similar sentiments that you just shared. What I've learned is God gives us this principle of wisdom to be obedient to Him. Like, we don't have that tool for anything else. We have wisdom so that we can be obedient to God. Discernment, and what I've learned is discernment is wisdom's desire to trust us to apply her within any situation that we find ourselves in.
You gotta say it.
That is discernment. That's discernment. Like, and I promise I didn't find that on my own. I can't take no credit for that, Markeshia. God gave me that. Like, God showed me that as a principle of discernment because of a memory that I had of my mom. So my mom used to get these really, really bad headaches when I was a kid. And one day when she was teaching me how to drive, fresh learning how to drive, I want to say like 3 weeks in, she got a migraine. But what she didn't know on the back end was that my grandfather was also doubling up on the lessons. And so my mother, who used to just be my teacher, had become my patient because she had a migraine that was so bad that she couldn't drive. And so I had to take my mom almost 30 minutes away from our home. And so I had to get her from one place to another. And so she trusted me to get her from point A to point B. That's the first part of discernment, wisdom's ability to trust us. But it's also our ability to find confidence in wisdom's presence that gives us true discernment. And so it's the confidence. You got to walk in that confidence. Discernment without confidence is just a feeling. It's just the feeling. It is just the feeling. And so that is like the biggest blessing that I have found about that principle of discernment, and I can't wait to share with the world. Markeshia, unfortunately, I'm loving this, but we're running out of time. I am loving this episode. I'm loving it. So you are going to get an author copy of my latest book, Walking with Wisdom. Tell me one thing you are looking forward to reading about in this book.
I am looking for, the whole thing. Definitely the discernment part. Because you just said some things that I'm like, oh, I want to tap into that more.
Yeah.
I had to develop my confidence in reference to what he was revealing to me.
Yeah.
And it started with simple things like, okay, bring this extra pack of gum today. I'm like, you know gum? I get somewhere. Hey, does anyone have any gum? I say, you got to be kidding me.
God.
The little things like
just the little things.
Voice. Trust what I'm saying. Trust what I'm giving you.
Yes.
Yes. You're absolutely
right. Most definitely. Listen, I am excited for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for tuning into this episode. This is the finale of season 2, and I'm so happy that I got an opportunity to end this thing off right with an amazing guest in Ms. Markeshia Hines. Markeshia, from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate you. You have no idea how much this episode has blessed me, and I'm sure it's going to bless a lot of people. I know it will. Well, guys, that concludes this episode of season 2 of the Wisdom Walkers podcast. Be sure to go out and get my latest book, Walking with Wisdom. And if you are feeling like you need to do extra work, I also have my 4th book, which is a journal called A Walk with Wisdom, which will allow you to do the work alongside reading this book so that you can get not healed in 30 days, but definitely have a 30-day head start on this thing called healing with using God's principle of wisdom. Until next time, until season 3, which I'm telling y'all I'm looking forward to. I love you guys, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.